not coming up to the other side. You staying down here, are you?
All day until 4 p.m. Rain all night.
Who think Auckland's unique. International surveys consistently rate the city as one of the world's best places to live. Enjoy your tour today. Hop off at any stop and explore at your own pace. Then hop on the next bus and keep going. Our commentary shares fun and fascinating stories, from the volcanic eruptions that shaped New Zealand to our first human inhabitants, the Māori. Your safety is our top priority. We'd like to remind you that you must always remain seated while the bus is in motion. Additionally, as a courtesy to other passengers, please do not talk while the commentary is playing. All cruise ship passengers, please take note that the bus does not return to the wharf to drop you off. Instead, you will disembark at the downtown Auckland stop at the end of your tour. That stop is located a short 5-minute stroll back to your cruise ship. Located on level 5 of the SkyCity precinct, join a thrilling 90-minute guided tour where you will explore the mind-bending, immersive experience named Weta Workshop Unleashed. It's wacky, it's imaginative, and it has won multiple global awards since opening in 2020. At Weta Workshop Unleashed, you get hands-on with enchanting environments, resident creatures, a hyper-realistic giant, a galactic robot, a life-size spaceship, and much, much more. All built by the incredibly talented team at the Academy Award-winning Weta Workshop. If you don't believe my glowing description, check out their TripAdvisor or Google reviews. It's 5 stars across the board. What would it feel like to stand directly in front of the haka at the start of an All Blacks game? Feeling that raw power of New Zealand's star rugby players right in your face? Here's where you can experience what that's like firsthand. The All Blacks experience immerses you in the story of rugby, our national obsession in Aotearoa. Find out if you have what it takes to make, shape and be an All Black star in this state-of-the-art On New Year's Eve in Auckland, everyone watches the Sky Tower at midnight when it erupts in a spectacular display of fireworks. The fountain of sparkling light looks incredible, reflected in the Waitemata Harbour. New Zealand kicks off the worldwide festivities because we're just west of the international date line and are one of the first countries to ring in the new year. We will soon be passing the Civic, one of Auckland's architectural gems. The Civic is a renovated 1920s movie palace that now hosts live performances. Did you know that it is one of only 8 atmospheric theatres in the southern hemisphere? Just around the corner, take a guided tour of the Auckland Town Hall, a prominent civic landmark on Queen Street, which has been the centre of the city's political and cultural life since it opened in 1911. Take a step back in time and discover the history that welcomed some of the biggest names that performed in the Great Hall. The Rolling Stones, the Beatles and Sir Elton John, to name a few. Adjacent to the Town Hall in the heart of Auckland is Aotea Square, a popular location for festivals, events, live music and performing arts. Collection of art from New Zealand and around the world. The main attraction is a stunning collection of portraits of Māori figures from the late 19th and early 20th centuries. I'm always fascinated by the traditional tā moko, or Māori facial tattoos. They cover the faces of the men, but only the chins of the women. Right behind the Auckland Art Gallery is Albert Park, which, in the mid-1800s, was a defence post during the land wars between the Māori and the European colonists. Both Albert Park and the Auckland Art Gallery are kid-friendly and admission is absolutely free. hot buses, please ensure your hands, arms and head remain inside the bus at all times. University of Auckland. When it opened in 1883, it had only 4 professors and 95 students attending class in an old courthouse and jail. Today, the university has 5 campuses across Auckland, over 40,000 students, and it consistently ranks in the top 100 universities worldwide. The University of Auckland may also have the world's cutest university crest. It shows 3 kiwi birds running over blue waves. punish Tane Mahuta, the god of people and forests. Newmarket was strategically important to the various iwi that occupied the land here. Local Māori knew this area as Te Tūtahi, meaning sacred cabbage tree standing alone. This cabbage tree was a landmark for those travelling between the Manukau and Waitemata harbours. Sadly, it was cut down in 1908 as it was considered a danger to the children attending the local school. The precinct housed cattle yards, market gardens, breweries, sawmills, bakers, ironmongers, and general retail. People gathered here to buy and sell their wares. Today, Newmarket has transformed into an upscale shopping precinct where you'll find an abundance of designer fashion boutiques and shoe stores. Nuffield Street Broadway and the stylish Westfield shopping mall make Newmarket the ultimate destination for shopping, fun, and relaxation. Along Nuffield Lane, you will also find trendy independent galleries showcasing local Kiwi artists and designers. This stop is Newmarket. Hop off here to shop at one of Auckland's premier fashion, retail and entertainment precincts. This stop is Newmarket. traditional Māori method of cooking. Food is traditionally wrapped in leaves that are placed on hot stones at the bottom of a hole. The food is then covered with a wet cloth and earth, which traps the heat around the food and cooks it until it's juicy and delicious. We New Zealanders call ourselves Kiwis after the small brown flightless kiwi bird. More flightless birds evolved here than anywhere else on Earth, including the takahe and kakapo. Until humans arrived, the birds of New Zealand had no major predators or competition for food, except for other birds. So some species protected themselves by staying close to the ground. The Māori hunted several flightless species to extinction, including the giant moa. Early settlers also introduced rats, pigs, and other mammals that threatened the birds. Protecting our flightless species is and will continue to be a major battle in wildlife conservation. Auckland War Memorial Museum. Pop off here to explore. There's something for everyone. Parnell Village. Sure, Aucklanders love tramping around the beaches in the native bush, but don't get the wrong impression. This is a city of over 1.6 million. About a third of the nation's population lives here, and we like our big city fun, like going out for a meal and shopping. Our next stop is an only in Auckland experience, with quaint little cafes, art galleries and shops specialising in handcrafted gifts. It's called Parnell Village, a beautifully restored old neighbourhood where you can wander along brick and wooden walkways, past flowering plants, relax over a cuppa, tea and scones, and shop for gifts made of native woods, sheepskin and New Zealand greenstone. Parnell Village was the brainchild of Les Harvey, who restored this district back in the 1970s using all recycled materials. Every time I come here, it feels like stepping back in time to a friendlier age where life still happens on a human scale. This stop is Parnell Village. This is your stop for restaurants, cafes, art galleries and high-end craft shops. Parnell Village is this stop. safety, passengers must remain seated whenever the bus is in motion, when the bus is stopped at traffic lights, and in stationary traffic. If you are travelling aboard one of our open top buses, please ensure your hands, arms and head remain inside the bus at all times. From here, we head along the waterfront to Takaparafo, Bastion Point. New Zealand greenstone is not just beautiful, but filled with meaning. This semi-precious stone, also called jade, nephrite or pornamu, comes in a variety of colours. In Māori beliefs, pornamu jewellery absorbs the spiritual essence of whoever wears it, taking on greater power as it's handed down across the generations, a link to the power of the ancestors. It's one of the many lovely New Zealand-made souvenirs you can purchase as a gift to take back home with you. Did you come to New Zealand to see or do something specifically? Or are you just on a tiki tour? Tiki tour is Kiwi slang. It means to go on a journey with no particular destination in mind, or to take the long way to reach a destination. New Zealanders call going on a hike tramping, and corner stores are dairies. When something delights us, we sometimes exclaim, "Sweet as!" Another slang expression you'll hear a lot of is, "Yeah, nah," a short way of saying, "I acknowledge what you said, but I disagree." Originally an exercise to develop wrist strength. Sometimes groups of performers compete in songs and dances with traditional music, speech, movement and facial expressions. Kapahaka festivals like Polyfest and Te Matatini draw gigantic audiences from across the Pacific, both live and on TV. Began regular passenger and freight services services using seaplanes, meaning planes that could take off from and land on the water. You can still take a seaplane tour for the most thrilling views in New Zealand from the sky and sea. Tarlton's aquarium. Please note, we will not be stopping here in this direction, but we will stop at Kelly Tarlton's on our return trip from Bastion Point. agreed to temporarily hand over this land, or whenua, to the New Zealand government. But the government didn't honour their side of the agreement and never gave the whenua back to Ngāti Whātua. This came to a head in 1976 when the Prime Minister of the day announced his intention to sell the whenua for luxury housing development. Joe Hawke, a prominent Ngāti Whātua leader, organised a group that set up camp and occupied the area for 506 days until the government sent in the army and police to evict the group. 222 people were arrested that day, and their gardens and buildings were demolished. Joe Hawke and his group never gave up on their quest to have their whenua returned. Eventually, in 1987, the Waitangi Treaty Tribunal made a historic decision, ordering the government to return the whenua to Ngāti Whātua. Today, you can enjoy the beautiful open grounds with their breathtaking views over the harbour and the islands of the Hauriki Gulf. You can also take time to explore the monument built in honour of Michael Savage, one of our beloved Prime Ministers from 1935 to 1940. This stop is Takaparafo Bastion Point. Hop off here for some amazing photo opportunities. Takaparafo Bastion Point. This stop.
We might hit $1,000. Wait. That'd be 200. I really need to ask. I need to ask for. We need to get a page up here soon. Yeah, I don't. The thing is, I don't know how to. I'll have to think about it. Whether I ask for 50 or 60, because I want 50.
For your safety, passengers must remain seated whenever the bus is in motion, when the bus is stopped at traffic lights, and in stationary traffic. If you are travelling aboard one of our open top buses, please ensure your hands, arms and head remain inside the bus at all times.
Yeah, I agree. Alright, valid. Yeah, I'm just on a bus right now. We're doing some stuff. We're up in New City.
Our next stop will be Sea Life Kelly Tarlton's Aquarium.
I just think it's so funny. Like getting J-Mo. Like, oh shit. Forget the kids. Young as hell.
Kelly Tarlton had a passion for scuba diving that he wanted to share with the world. He imagined building a transparent tunnel on the ocean floor where the public could see the magnificent creatures of the deep from a diver's point of view. This dream became a reality at Sea Life Kelly Tarlton's Aquarium, our next stop. You'll enter the aquarium through one of its most fascinating exhibits, a replica of the 1911 wooden hut that sheltered a team of Antarctic explorers led by Captain Robert Falcon Scott. You'll experience firsthand the cramped quarters filled with scientific specimens and photographs collected by one of the first land explorations of Antarctica. Nearby, you'll find some of Antarctica's most famous residents, king penguins. Every year, it's a treat to watch the fledgling penguins make their first attempt to waddle through the snow. You may find yourself thinking of the adorable Mumble in the 2006 movie Happy Feet. You'll also encounter eels, sharks, turtles, stingrays, octopuses, seahorses, and dozens more sea creatures, large and small. No visit to Auckland is complete without a trip to Kelly Tarlton's.
break. Like he buys them for 50, it ends up just going all to us. Yeah.
This stop is Sea Life Kelly Tarlton's Aquarium. Hop off to explore the underwater viewing tunnels and the world's largest exhibit of Antarctic king penguins. Sea Life Kelly Tarlton's Aquarium. This stop.
Yeah, I know. He's an animal. I know, that was just annoying. I mean, I wish it all the other payments had gone through. Like, I messaged him. I was like, yeah, I don't know what happened. Seems like we just had a weird little bug going on. But,
There are regular ferry boats to Devonport, just a 15-minute ride from the downtown Auckland waterfront. It's worth visiting the North Head Historic Reserve, a defence post built during the Russian scare of the 1870s. North Head had the job of guarding Auckland, along with the islands of the Hauriki Gulf, just outside the Waitemata Harbour. You can explore the gun batteries and fortifications, along with the underground tunnels that run beneath the site. North Head also has some of the best views of the Auckland skyline. waterfront every day. This is also where our exports leave the country. Billions of dollars worth of New Zealand meat, dairy products and timber ship out of here for China, Australia, South Korea and the United States. Whenever I get the chance, I stroll or jog along the waterfront so I can watch the port at work. Rose from the ocean floor to the surface millions of years ago. There's a Maori tale of the demigod Maui, a trickster who caught a giant fish that became the North Island. Maui's brothers began cutting off pieces of the fish, carving the ridges and valleys that you see in the landscape today. Their waka, or canoe, became the South Island. Discovered Aotearoa, New Zealand, while chasing an octopus away from Hawaii, the legendary island where the world began. Archaeologists date the first Maori settlements to be at least 800 years ago. What moved them to pilot their waka so far from the known world? The same spirit of adventure and discovery you'll find in New Zealand today. More explorers followed, like Abel Tasman from the Netherlands and Captain James Cook from Britain. The Europeans who, quote, unquote, discovered New Zealand. The story of the vessels that sailed here from around the world and the hopeful immigrants on board inspired Hui Te Anaui a Tangaroa, the New Zealand Maritime Museum. It's a fabulous, family-friendly look at our bond with the ocean. From the first landfall to the America's Cup, with historic vessels, artworks, scale models and more. You'll find the Maritime Museum located in the Viaduct Harbour. We are approaching Britomart, one of Auckland's trendiest districts. It's named for the HMS Britomart, the British brig that raised the Union Jack over Auckland for the first time in 1840. Now Aucklanders and visitors flock to Britomart for fun. You'll find everything from upscale boutiques to nightclubs, yoga studios, bike rentals and international cuisine. We are approaching the downtown Auckland stop. This is your stop for Britomart, the Viaduct Harbour, the New Zealand Maritime Museum, and the Auckland Whale and Dolphin Safari experience. If you are returning to your cruise ship from here, walk a short distance to Quay Street, but please remain seated until we get to the stop.